welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Burnie.
I'm John.
I feel like I should have VR goggles on for this.
I feel like we all should have VR goggles on.
Let's do the whole thing with this.
Yeah, I'll just do.
We
right
got a chance to go see the world premiere of Ready Player One at South by Southwest.
World premiere.
World premiere.
Steven Spielberg himself said no one else has ever seen it in public.
Yeah, in public. Plenty of other people have seen this movie.
I'm sure they did a shitload of test screenings for this movie.
Oh, no
Yes,
doubt.
yeah.
But we did get to see the world premiere. That was really cool. And because we're lucky, South by Southwest is going on right now in Austin. We're in Austin, and we got access. So that's really great. So because we did get to see the movie, a couple of us, we wanted to sit down. We want to talk about it. This is going to be a spoiler-free discussion. I think it's going to be a very polarizing movie. So if you're deciding if you want to go see it, if maybe it's for you, if maybe you don't know if it's going to be for you, we've all got our different perspectives on the movie. And maybe that can help you make a decision.
Why is it going to be polarizing? Like, why has it been established that that's the case for this particular property?
So this property, Ready Player One, it's based on the book by Ernest Cline that came out in 2011 by the same name.
Really? That book's 2011?
2011, yeah.
Holy cow.
And,
not old.
Not at all. Wow.
The whole premise of that book is pop culture references. It's the enjoyment of enjoying things. It's people who take pride in like the collecting and the knowing of everything.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like, too, it's pop culture references in a way, but then it becomes, after a certain point, they're less like references and then just more like, this is the baseline for this world. And it's almost like if you were reading something about The Martian. It's like when they talk about red sand for a long time, it's like that's just the world that they're in. And it seems to me like that's the basis for the Oasis and the real world in which the book is set, which is 2045 or somewhere around.
Yeah, it's 2040s. 2045. So the basis of this, for those who maybe haven't read the book, is it's 2045, so it's near future, but there's a lot of overpopulation, pollution, corruption, poverty, and so drones, and people have largely moved to virtual reality existence to get away from the shit of life, and they've moved into what's called the Oasis, which is the ontologically anthropocentric sensory immersive simulation.
Oh, really?
It's an acronym.
Yeah, it's an acronym. And this Oasis, this VR world, was created by this genius game developer, James Halliday, who then dies, and when he dies, he publishes this video saying he hid an Easter egg somewhere in this Oasis, and whoever finds this Easter egg will get control of the Oasis.
Willy Wonka-esque challenge.
Very much so.
Very Willy Wonka. And it's important as well because the Oasis has become this economic center.
It's a public resource at this point that everyone has access to, just like the internet.
I would say it's the equivalent of the internet.
It is.
Yeah.
It's, the Oasis is the equivalent of how we all look down at our phones all the time to how we all have our VR headsets on all the time. That's what it's just the evolution of.
Yeah. So the characters in this, like the main characters, Wade Watts is the lead.
Do you mind if we pause for a second and talk about Halliday?
Yeah.
So Halliday in the book, how did you guys interpret Halliday as a character, the creator of the Oasis, this very eccentric genius?
Eccentric and socially awkward, somewhat maybe on the spectrum kind of...
Asperger's,
Yeah.
maybe? Yeah. Well, is that how you pictured Halliday in the book?
Yeah.
I pictured him way more of like a hybrid between like Bill Gates and Richard Branson.
No, I think in the book he wrote in a good enough about how he was bad with social interactions, didn't do well with people, sometimes didn't read things very well, didn't interpret.
He wasn't good with publicity or interviews. And in the movie, he's played by Mark Rylance, who I think does a fantastic job.
He might be the standout performance of the movie, which is why I wanted to pause and talk about it.
He does.
He's so good.
He takes that character and really elevates him. In the book, he does come across as awkward but brilliant. He's made this thing and he's very proud of it, but he never quite understands how to connect with people. And that all comes across in Mark Rylance's performance. But he also gives it this, there's this very endearing awkwardness to it.
There is, yeah.
Where you understand how much difficulty he has with people, but you still like him and admire him, which is important because this character, James Halliday, is... He's a god among these people using the Oasis. He invented, essentially, their world. Mm-hmm. So he does a great job as well because he plays not only James Halliday, but also his avatar, Anorak.
Yeah.
And you can see him shift the performance a little bit as Anorak to drop some of the awkwardness and add these more ethereal qualities to his
Theatrical,
personality.
yeah.
And I think that comes across really well.
He does a good job.
Well, I also I love and Anorak's a good example of it. There's some of the best moments in the movie are. Personally, I think it's a great representation of a VR environment. It's a really tough thing to pull off cinematically because once you put on a VR headset, it's an entirely different experience than watching a 2D screen.
Right.
You know, even if you want to have 3D with glasses on, still not even close to the same thing as being in an immersive VR environment. I thought they did a great job with it. And some of my favorite moments in the movie are the moments where the real world kind of invades the VR space because it's so immersive. And like when the characters are talking to each other, and then there's without going into spoilers, there's a villain played by a great voice actor, and like some of his moments are just when they get to those human moments, they're just really fucking funny.
Yeah, because everyone's in these giant cartoonish level avatars that have like looking at them, they all have extreme qualities that are beyond human, and so they all interact with each other, and then that voice actor and then Ben Mendelsohn, like he has an avatar and they interact, and then suddenly this person just devolves into talking about like a neck problem that they're having and carpal tunnel issues, and it's like oh yeah, that's just another player on the other side of that screen that doesn't look like this giant.
Right, they're not role playing.
Yeah,
they just chose an avatar they thought was badass, but they're
pretty
still
badass avatar though too. That's really
pretty badass
because it's in a movie where there's tons of pop culture references. There's really only a handful of things that would qualify as being original designs.
Yeah, I mean the main characters are original designs, but all throughout it's just like when you jump into VR chat or anything like that, people are dressed up as
Sonic,
as Tracer, as Hello Kitty, as
Ruby Chibi.
Yeah, any of those things. So it's definitely full of those people.
Yeah. And so most of the movie takes place within the Oasis.
Yeah.
There are real world parts, but I think the Oasis is where they spend a lot of time because it really does shine.
Yeah.
It is also going to be one of the more polarizing elements because I think there are a lot of departures plot-wise from the source material, and I think that's going to upset a lot of book purists.
Extremely. They change
a lot.
2/3 of the entire quest, at minimum, if not more than 2/3 of the entire quest game. They change the ending of the film and how it resolves to a certain extent. They add characters. They've
changed characters,
massively altered certain characters.
Yeah, there's they keep the overall framework.
Yeah,
they keep they keep the keys. They keep a lot of that. They keep that there's a task or something, some kind of puzzle involved with each one, and there are clues. They keep all of that intact, but I understand to some degree that some things they needed to change to serve a film setting.
Right. With the amount of content that's in the book, you can either squish it all into a movie and then you have a super rushed movie that has pacing problems throughout. Or you take what the movie tried to accomplish and you make cinematically capable, available scenes that then still lead to the end result.
It has to be cinematically capable, I think, is a big part of this. That was when everyone heard this was being developed into a movie. Everyone's like, "How?
How are they going to make this happen?"
Yeah, if you read the book, it's like just from a legal standpoint,
right?
Yeah, it's essentially like it's how Tolkien included hours, days, weeks of travel description in his books. And how it's like, well, we don't do that in the movies, so we have to fix that. It's that, but even on a grander scale of like, well, there's like huge events that take all this time, like these quests and everything that happen, and we can't have that many things happen in this movie, so we have to just cut them out or change them drastically, and that's what they do.
Yeah, it is boiled down. It is condensed. There are certain sort of side plots or elements that they decided to cut or change around to serve the movie-sized narrative. I think they did a pretty good job. Others will disagree, and that's totally fine. But there's so much in the text that wouldn't have translated as well to this massive VR scope that they were going for, like just this visual spectacle. So in the trailers, we don't want to get into spoilers about the film, but I figure like if something is like the thing of the trailer, we can at least mention it, and that's that you see a race scene. There's not a race in the books.
No.
There's nothing like that. And so you can see some of these shifts that were made because that race would be absolutely incredible in this VR environment.
Yeah. So it'd actually be a lot cooler on
screen
screen than it would be in a book. Like you describe a car chase in a book, that's not.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Then the car almost caught the other car. Yeah. And then they turned a corner. It's like it's not that compelling in a book.
He found
way more
this
compelling on
18th
screen.
gear and downshifted again.
Yeah, and so there's going to be people like it's like when I remember when I went and saw Goblet of Fire. Big thing that I was upset at, that I was hoping to see translated cinematically, was when they go to the Quidditch World Cup. They build up to the World Cup and they do the whole portal scene and get into it, and they have all the interaction before it, and the Prime Minister does this whole speech and everything like that, and then they say, start the game, and then they smash cut to them enjoying the end, walking out of the end of the game.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and in the book describes the entire Quidditch World Cup, and you
The
went,
match is a big deal in that.
holy shit, what happened? Like, it just went away. And so as a book fan, I was like, hey, you built up to that scene and then just cut it. At the very least in this one, they don't do that. They just change it so that you just, same end result, different events.
But were you upset about any of the changes?
No.
I wasn't upset.
Really.
As I was watching it, I did think to myself a couple times, whoa, that's a pretty significant change.
Yeah.
Or be like, huh. But then I was like, of course it's because that puzzle wouldn't have been very visually stimulating. That's fine.
The core of the movie stays intact to me.
Yeah.
It
The
does.
premise of the movie and the tone and the environment of the movie, which I think are the hallmarks of Ready Player One, that I thought they did a very good job of putting those up on the screen. And I think some of the things that they had to change for story and plot and pacing, I think they had to do because it's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have trouble taking too much issue with the changes because Ernest Cline worked on the screenplay with Zach Penn, and I don't feel like I can tell the creator that he was violating his own vision.
Yeah. He literally wrote the screenplay before they had a director signed on to the movie.
Yeah, so
he
he and Zach
adapted
Penn
it already.
wrote it
ambitious.
and then pitched it to Spielberg.
Yeah.
So ambitious for a movie with it's so loaded with so many legal pitfalls.
It is very impressive.
He was so funny when he brought up, because he was at the premiere where he
And there was a short Q&A afterwards.
Yeah, and he talked about how when he was told that Spielberg was being asked to or being talked to about being on it, it depressed him because he knew that Spielberg would not do the movie, and then forever he would be plagued with the thought that what if Spielberg had directed my movie, and that would have been the dream.
What would this have been?
And so the nice end of that story is Spielberg was more than happy and excited to do the movie.
Yeah, and so I think either if you go into this expecting a direct book adaptation, you're going to be disappointed.
I would think so.
If you go into this thinking that it would be really lame if they do pop culture references left, right, and center, and they're all over the screen, you're going to be really, really disappointed.
Well, can I point one?
That's what it is.
Can I point one thing out though?
Absolutely.
And then what's your follow up? Do you have a follow up thought on that?
Not at the moment.
Okay, because
I'll think of something.
yeah.
I'm sure.
But I think that's true, but even we were very fortunate to be at a screening, and Steven Spielberg was there.
Yeah.
And he introed the movie.
You're talking about what he said about the
He talked about.
windshield?
He said he made this movie. He said, and there's a lot of references and everything. He goes, but if we're going along down the road here, the movie is straight out the windshield.
Yeah.
And if you look out the windows, you're going to see some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But if you just want to see the story, it's there.
It's still there the entire time.
yeah, just
And it's true.
Yeah, and
Like,
you can get lost looking out the windows.
You can follow the story straight through, or you can start looking around the edges of the screen to see all of the crazy little characters and things that they do. And they do some amazing, really impressive things with that. There's one particular set piece that is mind-blowing when I saw it. That was a real, ooh moment. Yeah. Not just because the entire theater went, ooh, because it was a very loud crowd, and they were very enthusiastic.
We had a great
which
crowd.
Ideal crowd
does
to watch
improve the movie watching experience.
They cheered when the Amblin Entertainment logo came on the screen. That's how excited they were for this movie.
Yeah, we had a technical problem during our screening too, and the audience was just fine with it.
Yeah.
Started making their own sound effects.
Yeah, the sound cut out, so
the
the
pew
audience
pews
was
and whatever.
explosions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were. It was. If you could watch this movie in the environment and with the audience that we watched it, I would 100% recommend this movie. To say, given you're gonna have a great time, enjoy it. I did something I don't normally do, which is we waited 2.5 hours in line to
Welcome
go
to the South by Southwest experience.
into the movie, and I was positive. I said, I'm gonna hate this movie just because of this experience of waiting in line so long. Not at all. It's like with that audience, it was really, really great. If everyone could see this movie on the first day of the con with the opening night con audience, then that would be the perfect environment. Unfortunately, you can't do that.
See it opening weekend if you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the most excited people. You'll see it with the least amount of reaction from the media and everything about it, and I think that's going to be the ideal environment for you to see it. It's also very much a theater movie. That's a thing. And this is a theater movie. Go see it. Big noise, big screen. Go with some friends if you got friends that like this kind of stuff. It's a good social movie. I think you'll have fun.
And there's a lot of spectacle that makes good use of all the sound equipment in a lot of theaters.
I want to make it very clear. I enjoyed the movie. I have major critiques about story and character stuff that happened in the movie. So in no way am I saying that this movie is perfect and just if you have problems with it, you should be told shut up. It's like no, it could have been better and there's some fixes I would have done, but I would say generally I enjoyed the experience and it was a fun movie to go to.
I liked the movie more than I liked the book. That's what I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's. I liked the main character better in the movie than I liked him in the book. In the book, he gets in so many trivia arguments with people and is so intent on proving how right he is and how much smarter he is than everyone else. And to be fair, he is out triviaing them, so he's right. But it just over time that got on my nerves a little bit, and that doesn't happen to that degree in the movie.
You know what I think they did? Why they did that was that one, I think they wanted to make him a much more admirable or charismatic character for movie audiences. It's a very important attribute often for protagonists in movies. But also they made generally the movie overall much more accessible to a general public. That you don't have to know every John Hughes film. You don't have to have seen John Hughes films. You don't have to have seen every single Zemeckis film or every single Spielberg film. You don't have to have known all the references. You can enjoy the movie with minimum pop cultural knowledge because it's still got, like you said, the windshield along the way and the story that is not just about pop culture references. That's still there for you to enjoy. That being said, there's a major part in the middle of the movie. I was
going to say, yeah.
There's a major part that if you don't have any connection to this this cultural reference, you're going to miss out a bit on that.
That scene might leave you a little lost, whereas if you've got it, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really brilliant. Yeah. And hopefully enough people are aware of this thing.
Yeah.
And we can't say what it is because you need to just
we don't want it. We don't want to. I want you to see that scene open up and you'd have the same experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of the characterization was improved. I did feel like the villains were a little one note.
I don't know.
I didn't feel like
they
you mean
seemed, the lead villain? Yeah.
I feel like they seemed a little bit like one-dimensional, like flat, like cartoony villain.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say.
There wasn't a whole lot of complexity there.
I thought Ben Mendelsohn, even though he's like an amazing,
he's a great actor,
antagonistic actor, I thought the book's villain was much more sinister and I feared him more.
Yes, I would agree with that completely.
I think that they did a good job of like it would be very easy for a studio movie to spend 20 minutes of the first part of the movie explaining what VR is and like woo and showing people in a VR environment when you're showing them in the real world with the goggles on and everything. That's always going to look dopey. That's never not going to look dopey. And I think they did it about as well as you can.
We've used VR enough now that we're like, yeah, we look like idiots, but when you're in it, you don't care.
Yeah, we get it. There is one point in the movie where they over-explain something that they're doing, and it's very clear what they're doing, but you can tell the studio was just like, no, you have to explain this better, and it's this, and that's that. But that's the only time I really felt like that in the whole movie. The first 5 minutes kind of rough because you're seeing, they're establishing the VR world and they're establishing what that looks like from our world's perspective, and it's like it feels a little like, oh, how Hollywood is this thing gonna be? But then it really, I think it finds its legs and then gets into the Ready Player One story.
Yeah, a lot of mechanics to the Oasis that they do not spend time explaining, which is good because there's a lot of mechanics in the book they explain, and they just like, people will get it.
Yeah, people get it. Yeah.
So overall, I enjoyed the movie. Like you, John, I'm not without critiques. I think there are some things that were I making it, I would have done a little bit differently. But second of all, I wouldn't be making it because I don't have that kind of craft. But overall, I had a great time watching it. I really enjoyed all the big visual things they were able to pull off using this virtual world. They brought, to me, the Oasis to life, and I love that world that Ernest Cline built. I think it is absolutely, like, it's just, you imagine everything, and it can happen, and they pulled that off in the movie as well. So, really like that, but I think that people who want it to be exactly like the book are going to be upset. And I think people who think that all the references are cheesy and lame and cynical are going to be upset.
Yep. Yeah. And it's interesting because I thought it's really interesting that they made this movie where there's all these pop culture references. You know, the people are playing as pop culture avatars, essentially, but the main cast, none of them are.
Yeah.
Then again, we don't know that. Like, H's character could be a pop culture reference that comes out in 10 years, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like they do have a way of bridging, like, it's not all just like locked into the world of 2018 and before.
There's value, I think, in a movie like this creating its own IP.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the context of that world, we don't know for sure. I mean, those could all be licensed characters that we don't know about.
In the next 25 years.
Some show in 2030
Yeah.
had this character, and like that's what that avatar is.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something I don't think we've ever discussed before?
Sure.
We actually signed a release. Rooster Teeth did. We signed a release to allow Ruby and specifically the Crescent Rose, her weapon, to appear in the movie.
Oh.
So it's now I have to go back and watch and see if I can spot, hopefully, where Ruby is somewhere in the movie.
This is going to be a big on-demand watcher for me, just to go through and pause and pause and pause and try to pick things out just frame by frame because they're...
Well, we had that experience with the technical difficulties.
We did,
They
yes.
replayed the one section 3 times, and I didn't mind.
I
was
saw
like,
new
there's
things every single time.
So-and-so, there's this person, yeah.
Someone would point out, oh, did you see this? And I was like, no. Thankfully, we're going to replay it. And then I see it now. That's
good.
great. So there is a lot of rewatchability if you want to do all that spotting.
Yep.
So that's my thoughts. You liked it? You liked it better than the book?
I think you gotta go in, you just gotta have fun. And I was like, for my demeanor, I went in and I had fun. It's like, I liked it better than the book. I liked it better than the book.
A lot of people say there's movies that you just need to go in and shut off your brain and enjoy it. That's not this movie. I don't think you should go into movies and just shut off your brain and enjoy it. I think this is a movie that you can enjoy and still, go along with the story and have your own thoughts on how that went through, but generally can still enjoy the movie.
And look through the windshield.
Just look through the windshield.
Look through the windshield.
Yeah, cool. So let us know what you think of Ready Player One based on what you've seen of the trailers. Are you interested in seeing it? Are you planning on checking it out? And did this help you at all? Also, I think maybe once the movie comes out widely, so we got to see it March 11th, but it's actually releasing on March 29th, at least in the US.
I'll see it in theaters again.
Yeah, I'll see it as well. But maybe once it's out and more people can see it, we can do a spoiler cast or something where we can really get into some of the stuff that we were excited about that we can't make close references to without ruining the experience for people.
Yep.
So keep an eye out for that. Let us know if you're going to see the movie. Bye.
We'll see you in the Oasis. That's what. They don't have a moment like that. That moment doesn't exist.
There's nowhere left to go. Nowhere. Except the Oasis. A whole virtual universe.